Yeah, the death of May, technically it was about 30 degrees that night, and thankfully at the last second we were able to build that river, because really 2 weeks before it wasn't going to happen because we didn't have the money. And I think about it now, like the actors never would have gotten in that water, but we were able to build it and heat it up. But Dakota, because she was 13 at the time, could only work 9 hours a day, and you can't go past midnight with her. So the time was so short, and the scariest thing was the first time they go in the water to get May. I basically had 3 hours to shoot the whole thing, and the water was about this high, so I knew when they went in they would only get wet up to their legs, so I knew I could take it at least twice, because they would just have to change their pants. And God, when Latifah, she just went in and she fell and went head first, and my heart just sank, because I was like, I'm screwed, I can't take it again. Then Dakota dove head first in as well, and so I'm like watching it into the performances, but also knowing I'm completely screwed, because it would be an hour for them to change their clothes. And so I had to, at the end of the take, I just huddled my team together. I was like, please tell me it was in focus. I watched it, I knew I had the performances, but you just don't know if it's in focus until, you watch the dailies, and they promised me it was, but I had to take that chance and say, okay, that's it, I'm not going to take it again. And so that was also my dailies. It took 3 days to get them back, because I had to go to LA and back. So for 3 days, I had no idea. And I couldn't go back and shoot it anyway, so I think that was the toughest day. And then also emotionally as well. That was Sophie's. We shot in continuity, so I believe that was her last day, so it was tough for the cast as well, because it was like, saying goodbye to her.
Was the whole film shot in continuity?
Basically, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why did you make that decision?
That's a luxury to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So, especially on a small budget, normally you're not able to do that, but that was one of the biggest things I pushed for, is to do that. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a low-key kind of person, but the thing about directing is like the only thing I want to do with my life, so it could be a complete disaster and I'm still enjoying myself. So I think it starts there. But just on set, and the thing I do take pride in is what you said, is that even if things are falling apart, you gotta stay calm, because at the end of the day, you gotta get performances from your actors. Nobody cares watching the movie what was happening that day. They just know whether or not they believe the characters and the actors. So you have to make it comfortable for them. So if I'm ranting and raving about something falling apart or something not going right, it makes everybody tense. And you just have to create an environment that's calm, because then everyone else feeds off of that. And when I hire my crew, the first thing I tell them is I don't scream, I don't yell, and I can't have you doing that either. And that's probably the biggest thing with first ADs, because the majority of first ADs, they just like to So, just let them know early on that's just not how I roll. And I think I read a lot about how Clint Eastwood works, and it's just quiet sets, people aren't screaming, and it just sets a great tone, and people feel comfortable and they don't feel tense all the time, because making a film is incredibly tough. Things go wrong all the time, but if you can kind of stay level-headed, it's not going to overwhelm you. No, it's a tough thing. I mean, it's based on a book, which is just a book. It's not a black book. It's just a book, and then once you have more than 2 black folks in the movie, then it's a black film, and early on, I think. Well, what we did with preview-wise, we did previews of this, and they previewed all white audience, all black audience, and the scores were identical. Which was great again to use, because I could say, let's market this to everybody, and so now they actually have broadened. Initially, it was being pointed towards just one audience, and now after those previews and also some, I'm forgetting what you call it, when you go out and you ask people, have you heard about this film, are you interested in this film? Tracking. The tracking has been doing really well, so now they've opened it up, and now it's being advertised on, Desperate Housewives and things like that. So, it is a push to broaden it, and the thing is there's so little marketing dollars sometimes. you know, there's a choice to focus on one thing, but for us, it was always, let's broaden this as big as possible, just to, I mean, why not go after everybody instead of just, you know, one group? I would say well, it's two things. I would say performance and the look, just because on a short, we had 34 days to shoot, so you can't get everything. You have to get performances, you have to get the look, and you have to get coverage. And on a short schedule, something has to give. And for me, that was coverage, which is tough. But I couldn't sacrifice performance. And again, the look. I had just a great team, the production designer and the DP that came aboard, again, for very little money. And the fact that we were able to give it some scope and the look on our budget, you know, to this day, I don't know how we did it. But that's the toughest thing, to give up coverage. And the only way you can do that is to have a great team, because a lot of the takes had to be one take, or you know, a scene that just is one shot, and it's, you know, risk to do that as well in terms of pacing of the film. But you know, I think I got lucky.